We're live. I think I forgot how to do this. It's been so long since I've made a video. What's going on, peeps? I am back on YouTube, and it has been a long time. So welcome to the channel. If you're coming on live with this, glad to have you. And if you're not, if you're watching this later, this is Eat the Elephant, where we teach you how to take a bite out of your life, one bite at a time. Because that's how you eat an elephant, right? One bite at a time. So that's what we're about here, just making incremental progress to a bigger goal. So welcome to the channel. My name is Jason, in case you didn't know that. And I used to be on YouTube a lot. What's up, Mark? I see you in the chat there. I used to come on YouTube a lot more, but I've been incredibly busy as of late. So haven't really had a chance to make a lot of videos. Red Neckerson's in the house too. There's a live chat going on. If you're watching this later and you hear me talking to somebody, that's who it is. But leave me a question or comment, and I'll do my best to answer if I can. So I thought I'd come on tonight and talk about our business model and how to find books using Booksales. And I'm letting the room fill up a little bit. Gene's in the house. What's up, Gene? I'm actually in a hotel room right now in an undisclosed location. It's not that undisclosed. I'm at a book sale, which starts tomorrow. And I went out sourcing today. I've really been going out a lot out of Charlotte and hitting book sales, hitting other areas, because I've changed kind of my model a little bit. Not my model, but just changed how I source. And it's really been paying dividends. So I'm going to talk about that tonight because it ties right in with the topic. So hope you guys are interested in that. Because I think you could apply it to anything, not just books. Books are great, but they're not everybody's cup of tea. So I get that. And so it's good to always have a different way to source and so on. What's up? Gary and Lori's here. Let's see. Landshark is here as well. Am I still doing the prep? I'm doing prep for one person right now. And they're more seasonal because they do more textbooks. So I'm not really doing too much prep at the moment. I'm kind of taking most of the time spending on our business right now and not onto the prep side of the business. So, but I am doing a little bit here and there. I'm just not pushing it at the moment. Let's see. Gary says hiding out. That's funny. Yeah, are you hiding out, Gary, or am I hiding out? Maybe we're both hiding out. I don't know. But yeah, it's been a while. So thanks for joining me tonight. I'm going to keep this shorter, guys. One of our, Car and I talked about one of our goals for this year is to do YouTube shows. They're about 30 minutes or so, no longer. Definitely no more hour-long shows for various reasons. So I'm going to try to end this up around 8 o'clock Eastern here it's on the East Coast. But I want to talk to you guys about book selling a little bit and what we've been doing and how we've been doing it. I don't know about you guys. If you're booksellers, and even if you're not booksellers, the tried and true method for a lot of people to get involved in reselling is to go to thrift stores, estate sales, yard sales, yada, yada, yada. Look through items, scan items, look up items, pick up items, ask somebody about an item, send somebody a photo and say, hey, is this worth anything? And honestly, that way will work for any type of sourcing you want to do. But the challenge is you're always limited by how many locations can you go to? Do you have locations that work near you that have a lot of stuff or have good prices or selection? And then, you know, you have to learn a niche if you want to really be efficient at it. If you try to stay really wide, you kind of are always trying to learn something new every single day, but you're never really mastering anything. And it's a challenging way to scale a business by kind of doing that hunt and peck, hunter-gatherer method of getting items to sell. I think it is, at least. You can scale a little bit, but you just run out of time is the biggest problem. You just can't get to enough items quickly enough. You know, I mean, think about if somebody provided you like a big room and said, all right, you're going to buy 1,000 items this month and all 1,000 of them are in this room. All you have to do is go find them. And maybe there was more than 1,000 items. You would just stay in that room, right? There'd be no reason to ever leave. But most of what we do in the resale world is we say, well, I don't know where those 1,000 items are I want to sell this month, or 500 or 50 or 10 or whatever it is. So I got to go out to different places and try to find them. And I'm not even sure which ones they are in a lot of cases. So I'm always looking through things, and it just becomes a big grind, right? I mean, it's like, how do you get to enough stuff in enough time? Like, you just run out of time. Time is always that one thing we can't get more of. So we've been trying to figure out better ways to source books, in our case, and some RA items as well as of late. And we've been trying to figure out better ways to do that. So I'm going to share those with you, kind of what we're doing, and maybe it'll help you guys too. Let me talk to a few people in here though. I got clickbaited to see who is eating the elephant. You're eating the elephant, I hope, Emin. One bite at a time, right? That's how you make progress in this business. You do it one thing at a time. You don't do 10 things at once. You do one thing. Let's see. We are super interested in reselling books on Amazon. Thanks, Dan and Laurie. Well, you're very welcome. Do we call you Elephant or Prof? You can call me whatever you want. Mark says, I find the books are profitable, but it's a grind for sure. Missed you. Good to see you. Melissa says, hey, Melissa, how are you? Anyone have any suggestions on how to not scan the same books over and over if you're scanning in bulk? Yeah, I'll talk about that a little bit, Land Shark, here in a moment. But here's what we've discovered, guys. So I don't know how many of you guys follow me on Instagram, but if you haven't, you can find the description in this video. You can find a link to in this video. And on Instagram, I've been talking about this challenge we have for this year a little bit. Our challenge is to find and source 1,000 books each month over the course of 2019 and send them into Amazon, at least 1,000 books. And we hit our goal for January. We actually had about 1,040, so that was good. And our sales have really increased. I'm going to include some sales numbers soon over there, but we basically did about 7,300 on Amazon last month, which was over double what we did the month before. So we definitely saw a big push. 96%, 97% of that was books. The rest were like a few RA items and so on. But it was a nice pop. And when you set a goal to go get 1,000 of anything in 30 days, first of all, you're nuts. Don't do it. No, if you do something like that, you got to figure it out, right? Like, how are you going to do it? Because again, time becomes the big variable you just can't get enough of. You know, finding 1,000 of something is difficult unless you got a lot of knowledge in it or you've got access to a lot of supply. So what we did, and what I'm going to commit to even doing more of, let me back up a little. Last year, we started this book journey back in May, and we did a lot of books that we did that were thrifted and so on. We did the conventional, you know, you go to a Goodwill, you go to a Salvation Army, a Restore, a mom and pop thrift store, and you scan, right? You scan 100, you scan 500, you scan 1,000, whatever. And, you know, that'll work. But you got to drive around to a lot of places. You got to go here, go there, and you got to keep doing that. And you got to find more and more places. As some of you guys are talking about, what happens when you go to a store, you can't go to it again the next day or even later that week probably. They haven't reloaded much. You know, they haven't gotten new inventory in. So you end up scanning the same things over and over. So you got to go find more and more and more and more locations. I realized really quickly for books, that wasn't going to work. Charlotte is a big metro area, and we have a lot of different sources of books there. But even in Charlotte, even getting 1,000 books a month out of Charlotte would be a challenge. Possible, but difficult, in my opinion, because you just don't get that many in any one location. You know, you go and you scan a Goodwill, and you get, at our parameters, 2% on 500 scans maybe. You know, so you come on with 10 books, which is not bad, but you've already spent like, between drive time and checkout time and scan time, I mean, you've spent like an hour and a half potentially. That's not a lot of books for an hour and a half. So you gotta get beyond that. We've actually quit going to Goodwill for the most part, strangely enough. Not entirely, but pretty much. So what I looked at were these big book sales, and now a lot of you guys probably know that there's a great resource. I'm going to type it in the chat right now, booksalefinder.com. I don't have any affiliation with them. I don't get any kickback from them. And they've been run for about 20 years, this particular site. And booksalefinder.com allows you to find where book sales are happening near you. So why book sales? Well, book sales have thousands and thousands of books for sale, you know, once or twice a year, or sometimes multiple times per year. And they're all over the place. Typically, these are organizations that put these on, that do book drives throughout the year, or they're libraries that are using these to raise funds, and so on. So if you go to booksalefinder.com, and somebody was talking about what do you do when you're out in the sticks, Gene, I think, you know, here's what's funny. Charlotte is not out in the sticks where we live. It's a big metropolitan area. But there are virtually no book sales in Charlotte. Like, the libraries sell books on an ongoing basis, but they don't do this big, nobody does a big sale in Charlotte, which I find interesting. We have to drive to book sales. But here's what's great about them and how it ties in with this 1,000 book goal. You can go find a 25,000 book sale, and you're not going to be able to scan all 25,000. Let me be very clear. You're not, for the most part, in a week going to be able, in a weekend, be able to scan anywhere near that. Not if it's just you. I find we scan maybe 600 books an hour or so, somewhere around there, and you still got to have some checkout time and so on, which is still good. Maybe 700 if you really push it. But you can find at these book sales, guys, tremendous numbers of books. Tremendous numbers. The book sale I went to last weekend was a 30,000 book sale from this little library in Columbia, South Carolina, and it was great. It was well run. I was probably like the 15th or 20th person in line, and there was probably about 50 people in line before the sale opened on preview night. I went in, I found a column of books that I started on, and I just scanned every single one of them. I think I found like 30 plus books in about 20 minutes, and that is no exaggeration. Now, couple things there. I have my trigger set up on my scouting app, which is ScoutIQ. You can find a link to that in the description if you want to check that out. You can get a free 2-week trial. But I had my trigger set up, and I was just, if it dinged in my ears a yes, I put it in my bag. I didn't even look at the condition. I didn't look at the numbers, nothing. I just went through and grabbed the books, because remember, this was 50 people there at the beginning of this book sale who were, for the most part, all book scouters and booksellers. So these people were just going after it and just buying books left and right. So there's not really a lot of time to look through things and so on. And when I actually pulled, I think that night I pulled 88 books. And then the next day I went for another 2.5 hours or so and pulled another 90. So it was like 178 books from the sale. I think only like maybe 3 were condition, or had some, or 4 were had like condition or some other issue that I couldn't list them. That's not any different than what you would be if you were out just taking your time looking at books a lot of times. So, but it was an amazing, I mean, these book sales are amazing events, guys. So you can go and get tremendous amounts of books in a short amount of time. I mean, if I told you, you know, you can go get 178 books or 178 shirts or 178 pairs of shoes or whatever that you're selling in one place in one night or one day over the course of maybe 24 hours, like, what would that be worth to you? I mean, I realize that, you know, we need to source about 230 books a week to make this number, this 12,000. A book sale can provide almost, if not all of that. One book sale. And there are book sales in the Carolinas, for instance, where we live, every weekend, multiple book sales. It's usually you have to figure out which one you want to go to and why. Do you have to drive to them? Yes. Do you have to stay in a hotel room sometimes? Yes. That might be possible as well. But that's not really any different than driving around all 5 days during the week, going to locations all around you. You're going to spend time and energy and money doing that as well. So it's really been, I really believe that we could source all 12,000 of these books with book sales this year. Well, I know we can. It's just a matter of getting enough resources to the sales, which is kind of another issue, which I'll talk about in a minute. But let me answer a couple questions. Or if there are any questions, just type in the chat, guys, and just say hello to people. Are you guys coming to meet up in March? Possibly, Candace, not sure. Any pirates in the show? Yeah. What else here? Mark likes the book sale finder site, but doesn't like the navigation. I agree. The navigation does suck. But it is what it is. And it's designed like it's stuck in the 90s. Yep, I would agree with that too. It is not designed the best, but it's functional and does work. And at least it gets you where you need. It points you in the right direction at least. Let's see. Check each in at the pull, or check each pull at the end before you purchase. Yeah, you could do that too, Land Shark Picker says. Have you ever thought about squat up at the book sale? You could kill it in no time. All right, so that's interesting you bring that up, Mark. So here's some challenges, guys. We realize there are some big book sales out there. And when I say big, I mean huge. 50,000 books, 75,000 books, 100,000 books, even more. Now, this is our estimate, and I don't know if this is going to prove to be true. Not all the books at a book sale are worth scanning, right? Just like not all the items of clothing in a store are worth looking at, or not all the CDs or shoes or whatever else you're looking at. Not all of them are worth looking at, right? They're not really going to be that profitable for the most part. We don't really scan much fiction if it's a book sale because there's just not enough time. There's too much nonfiction, and nonfiction sells better and for more money. There are categories that we don't, other categories that we don't scan. We don't really scan kids' books unless we just are down to the end. There are some kids' books that are worth money, but they're few and far between. We stick to mainly nonfiction. Our estimate is that of a book sale, probably only about 40% of the books there are prime candidates to be scanned and bought. Now that's our numbers and what we're doing. You may have a slightly different model and you might be scanning more or less of that percentage for various reasons, and that's fine. But I'm trying to break it down by category because you don't know what's going to be within a category. You don't know. It's kind of hard to say, you know, are biographies better than history books? Are history books better than, you know, self-help? It gets kind of tricky when you start trying to make all those distinctions. I mean, there's some you can make some guesses, but we think around 40% of the books are scannable. So if you take 100,000 book sale, that means there's 40,000 books there. And a typical book sale is only going to be open for maybe, a book sale that big might be open for 3.5 days, but that only gives you about 20, maybe 26, 28 hours that it's open. I'm going to tell you right now, you can't scan 40,000 books in 26 hours. And even if you could, you would still need time to stop, pay for the books, put them somewhere, take them to your car. You got to eat, go to the bathroom. I mean, you can't. But, you know, you're not going to be able to go through all those because people are going to be buying some as you go too. So it's going to dwindle down. But even if it dwindles down to 30,000, you still really can't scan 30,000 books in 26 hours, even if you just work like crazy and do all the other things you got to do too. So like Mark was saying, I think you kind of need a helper. Now, Karen has been helping me, and she's been amazing. She is really fast, faster than me at this, very good at it. She's not going to be here at this sale that we're going to tomorrow. Well, she might come up. She had a previous engagement with Ben's rugby team tonight. But 2 people obviously goes a lot faster. You can take the books somewhere. But we are, you know, we're thinking about having someone to be a scout in the moment because honestly, these big, huge book sales guys, you don't need somebody to go in there and be a genius. You don't need them to be like an expert at sales ranks and so on. All you really need to do is hand them a scanner and have the app on their phone. And if it's a yes, they pick it up. And if it's a no, they move on. And it's really that simple. I think with a team of people at these bigger sales, you could blitz through a lot of these books. And some of these sales, I mean, you could be talking about some massive amounts of money here, guys. I mean, you know, 100,000 book sale with even only 30,000 books to scan, even if you only pulled, say, I mean, you could conceivably pull 800-900 books out of that 30,000. I know that sounds like a lot, but it's not. It's not a crazy number. 800 or 900 books, even if you had kind of a lower average profit of average profit of $6 a book is $4,800 to $5,400 profit. That's probably worth paying somebody $100 to come scan books for a few hours. You know, I mean, I'm not saying it's super easy, but you know, with a team of people, you definitely could do it. So it's something we're thinking about committing to. These book sales are huge and they're all over the country. You can find them everywhere. Books are everywhere. There's even book sales that aren't on that site I just gave you. And I think you could really crush them and really pull a huge number off of these. So because what it really comes down to, guys, is it's not about, are there good books here? Are there bad books here? It really comes down to, how can I scan more books in the time that I have? That is the value equation of the book model. I need to be able to get more and more books scanned in a shorter amount of time. And then I can multiply my profits from that. Because you can only scan several hundred per hour. You and another person now double that, and another person triples that, and so on. And now all of a sudden your profits start going up, you know, exponentially as well. That's really what book selling and sourcing comes down to. Now, obviously, if you could have the books coming to you, that would be easier too, but that's not where we're at. We're not doing that kind of model. But these big book sales take a lot of the time equation out. Instead of going out to 40 stores with 500 books each and scanning 20,000 books, you can go to a sale and have all of them right there. So I think it's just much easier way to source. I mean, it reminds me of why Amazon is so superior to eBay in terms of scaling, because now you can go somewhere and get your hands on all the items very, very quickly in one place and find out if they're good to sell or not, leave them if they're not, and then move on. We're even thinking this model is the type of model where you could go to the book sales on the weekends, source all the books you needed, and then spend the rest of the week, and then spend maybe a day prepping and shipping them, and then spend the rest of the week doing whatever it is you want to do for your business. I don't think you need to go out and source all the time during your week. So for those of you who live somewhere, maybe you live out in the country, maybe you live somewhere there's not a lot of books around you, investigate these book sales, guys. Spend some time and go. You don't have to get a hotel room if you don't want to. I like to be fresh in the morning, honestly, and I can't stand doing an early morning drive and then trying to grind through something. I'm usually not very good at that. But you don't have to do that. You can find some that are about an hour away, 2 hours away. I've got this cool app. I'm going to show it to you on the screen. It's called, let me see if I can get I don't know if you guys can see that. It's called Free Map Tools. I know it's available for iPhone, but if you put in here, you can put in here like how far I can travel. There's an option on there, and it'll take your current place. It'll take where you are currently on the map, and you can say, all right, so I'm going to find out how far I can travel in an hour and a half from where I am. So you can see here, it starts drawing a map. It's a pretty cool little app. Let's see if I can get this light right. See how it's drawing the map out from where I'm at here in the Raleigh-Durham area? And eventually it's going to make a circle around that. So it's going to tell you, hey, you can go this far in an hour and 20 minutes. So you're going to know, like, that app is great for sourcing, guys, whatever you're sourcing, Free Map Tools. And I'll show it to you when it's done here in a second. It'll tell you, all right, if I don't want to go any further than this in this radius, and boom, you're good to go. And you can say, well, I can go to this city or this town or wherever. And they're basically all within driving distance within, you know, whatever your time frame is. And you can do that no matter where you're at. If you're on a vacation somewhere or traveling somewhere, you can do that as well. But it's great to do that for sourcing in general. So it's almost done here. I think it's about 72%. Mark says I should stay at Airbnbs. I know, but I don't know. I have this thing about people in Airbnbs. I don't know. It's always a little weird to me. Like, you're in somebody's house sometimes, and Thrift Shop Hustler. What's up, Chris? Good to see you, man. Have you sent in books to trade in for Amazon credit? Not yet, but I should. By the way, there's the, now you can see like the big circle it gave me. So it tells me everywhere within that radius is 2 hours from me. So that was just what I used. So check that out, Free Map Tools. And there's one for Android, if not. But that one's good for iPhone, I know. We have not sent any in for trade. I almost did the other day because I had a book. I could have sent it in for $44 in trade. I almost pulled the trigger, but it's a $273 book. So I was like, I really want to sell this for $273. Duncan's putting a team together, source books in Charlotte. Good luck with that, Duncan. I don't think you're going to do that well, but go for it. Um, that's pretty funny. Duncan's in Australia. Let's see, do you see any textbooks at Booksales? Yes. Now, book sales are interesting. And let me explain the psychology of the book sale a little bit. Most of these library book sales are run by the Friends of the Library. So this is a group of people, usually a nonprofit organization, whose purpose is to support the library. And they do it in different ways. And one of the ways they do it is they organize usually book sales. So they'll accept donations, and these people are volunteers, and they'll run a book sale. And they're great. Like, I love these people so, so much. They're always so nice and helpful, and they're just there to help the library. And if you just tie right into that mission with them, you're going to get along with them so well. However, they tend to be a little bit of an older crowd in general, the Friends of the Library members on average. And I'm not sure that technology-wise, they're really quite up to speed on how the book selling market works. So sometimes they will list special books with special pricing. It doesn't really make any sense or jive with reality. On the other hand, they will also put perfectly good, very expensive books right on the shelf for $1. So just keep, the last sale I went to, they had some textbooks on one little shelf. And I pulled 3 or 4 off of there and bought them. Most of them didn't make sense the way they had them priced. But because they were looking at, I don't know what they were looking at for some of them, to be honest. But there were a few there that I did pay up a little bit. I think I paid $8 for one that should sell for around $34, I think. So, they were well worth it. And textbooks were involved as well. You're not going to find as many textbooks probably at these book sales. And I'll tell you why. A lot of libraries do not even accept them as a donation. They don't want them because they know they go out of date very quickly. They're not really going to be read that much by the people who go to a library to read books, so they usually don't even accept them as a donation, a lot of libraries. So you're not going to have as many there. You're going to have to find textbooks in other places. Target rank, 3 million or lower. Depends, Douglas. I mean, I have sourced 6 million ranked books before. I mean, if they do sell occasionally and they sell for a lot of money, I'm willing to sell them a year. It's not just the rank. It's more about profit for me. What is your low price point? Well, below a certain price point, Marcy, books don't even really make any money FBA-wise because we're doing all FBA. I really look to still make at least a $4 profit on the book. Now, having said that, that's before my buy cost. Having said that, my buy cost is, between $1.50 and like $1.75, so it's pretty good. And so it still leaves me a couple bucks of profit after that, which I look at as like my prep and ship cost, in this case, me, who I'm paying. But you can find sometimes even $10 books that will still net $4 before buy cost. Then other times a $15 book won't even net that. It just depends on like the volume size of the book and so on. And so it kind of depends on that, like how big it is, because that goes into like their tier sizing in terms of like, and then sending it in, it weighs a little bit more. So I just look at it in terms of a profit per book, not really so much the low price point, if that makes sense. You mentioned looking for a great bag. You find them better in a wheel cart and boxes. I do. I haven't tried boxes, so I shouldn't say that. We did try a wheel cart at the sale in Atlanta last year, and it was a debacle. For me, the bags are easier to hand to the friends, the library, because they can, they're usually not going to be as heavy as a box. And I bought some great bags from IKEA yesterday because the last book sale I was at, they had IKEA bags. These bags are amazing. If you go to my Instagram, you can see a link to them, or not a link, but you can see my story about them. They will hold up to 55 pounds, the IKEA bags. You can buy them online. You don't have to be near an IKEA. But if you have one in your town, you can go there and try to buy them in store, and they have them. And they're only like $1.30 a bag. I mean, they're really cheap. They're this big kind of burlappy looking bag that I think it has a 19-gallon capacity, it says. And it says it'll hold 55 pounds. Now, I don't know if it'll hold that much, but you don't need to hold that much. Like if you can put 20 books in it and maybe 25 and then hand it off to somebody, you're golden. Because then you can you can stack 4 together, and then you just put your books in the interior one, and then when you're done, you just pull that one out, and the other 3 are still there, and hand it to the volunteer or take it up to wherever they're letting you keep stuff to the side, or even put your name on it. You can write your name on it in big, permanent marker, and you're good. Just make sure you check out that IG post, because those bags from IKEA are great. I found them to be awesome, and they hold a ton, and they're sturdy. I hit a small sale, a Goodwill, and a yard sale, plus got 3 boxes from a guy on Craigslist for free, 49 total, 7 were good today. Diversified sources. Yep, absolutely. The small library sales are even better, because a lot of times people don't go to them. My threshold for library sales right now is basically I'm looking for the 10,000 book sales and up. But there are tons of smaller library sales out there that are like 7,000 and 6,000, and they are well worth spending a half a day at. Don't get me wrong. I just don't want to drive 4 hours to one if I can avoid it. But they're well worth going to. And then a lot of libraries just run sales year round. They just run them all the time, or they'll batch them together, once or twice a year. It just depends on the library. But absolutely go out there and hit some other sales, guys, because these libraries are great. These books are in great shape. They're going to be taken care of. They're going to be really cheap for the most part. Even at the bigger sales, even if they're charging you $2 for a hardcover, that is not a bad deal, guys. You can find tons of good books for $2 or less. Just tremendous amount of number of books out there, depending on what you want, what profit you want. But make sure you hit those smaller sales too. What are you thinking about getting peeps to help you scan? Yeah, for sure. I think there's a model there. I saw this model last year with, the sourcing we did for Jonathan and Jason and those liquidations, that if you have enough people and you can deploy them in an area and give them, specific parameters on what to buy, you can multiply your profits. Because here's the reality, guys. Yes, I know a lot of people in the reseller world, they look at it and they think about employees or contractors or having somebody to pay somebody. They think it's expense, expense, expense. You're thinking about it wrong. Think about not about how much it's costing you, but think about what it's bringing you. Because if these people are out there and you're paying them some hourly rate, or maybe it's a set amount for a given amount of time, think about how much work will they get done in that time and what will it bring me. If someone is out there bringing you, if they're out there scanning 500 books an hour, which is a pretty easy number to hit, and they're bringing you 15 books an hour, and they're bringing you books that are netting you $6 to $7 a piece. We'll even say at the low end, $6 on average. So that's $90 an hour that person is bringing you in revenue. If you're paying them $12 an hour, how are you not winning? How are you not getting way ahead? Because now that's, even after you pay them, that's $78 of profit per hour that person is putting back in your pocket. And that's kind of low end numbers and nothing special. So just think about, how somebody can help you in a given. I know everybody you want to think it's just expense, but think about what they can do for you, not so much what they're going to take from you or they're going to cost you. That's really not the way it works. So where is your Instagram? It is Eat the Elephant with a FH. It's Eat the, I'll put it in here. Well, it's actually Eat, let's see, the it's like that. Eat the, yeah, I got it right. Instagram, I thought might get a little wonky about me saying eating elephants, which is not what I'm saying. So Eat the Elephant. It's on my page too. I think it should be in the description. I had to go here a minute because I got to keep to my time. I need to get myself a scanner. I need to find a library sale. I know, right? I think we got a link to a scanner on here in the description, but the KDCs are expensive. You can definitely buy the cheaper model, Nadews or SIM codes or yo-yos or whatever they're called, and spend like $50 and be a lot better off to start. You don't have to go for the Mac Daddy KDC, but I love Matt. Are the price per book set per category or for the whole sale? Usually the books are marked. Sometimes they're just hardback, softback, but a lot of times they'll have a sticker on them. I avoid the sales where they write inside it and write all these different individual prices. That makes sourcing very, very difficult. Very difficult. you want to see the price on the outside of the book, guys, because you have to look inside each book that comes up. It just slows you down. It takes more time. And usually they write prices that don't really make any sense. The way people price books at book sales is just bizarre. It doesn't have any logic or rhyme or reason to it. My thought is, I'm running a book sale. I want to make money for this library or cause. Sell as many books as I can. Sometimes their logic is sell it for the most you can. But that's assuming you're going to get that one perfect buyer to come buy it who's going to pay you $6 for that book when a bookseller would pay you $2 for it all day long. So I don't know. But I would just stay away from sales where they write the prices inside the book. Like, if you go to one of those, do the best you can while you're there. Just remember for next time to say, well, probably don't want to go back to that one. That's weird. That's not what your scanner can do. What's up, Adam? Do you polybag? No. Put the label over the barcode and go, Douglas. Books are – I don't know that you ever need to polybag a book unless there's something very special about the cover and so on. I wouldn't do it. Okay. Rip. Prop sales. It's pretty funny. All right, guys. Well, I'm going to stick to my 30 minutes-ish time here. So thanks for hanging out with me tonight. Check out the description and for helpful links and so on. Leave me a question or a comment. I will tell Karen that you all said hello. She'll be on here eventually with me again at some point, I hope. But we just haven't had a lot of time to do it. But we are live and well, and I hope you guys are too. And just remember, when you're out there, just keep on eating that elephant. So I will see you guys real soon.